All right, it's time for another edition of the Coach Damon Floyd Show here as we get ready for Friday night football again with the Bradley Central Bears. Of course, as you look at the camera today, this is not Gary Ownby. Gary Ownby's got the day off and taking some time off here for fall break. Talking about fall break, we're going to kind of talk about that a little bit. But I'm Dewayne Williams filling in for Gary Ownby today here on the Coach Damon Floyd Show. And it's brought to you by Los Margaritas on 25th Street here in Cleveland. We appreciate their continued support of the Coach Damon Floyd Show. Welcoming now, of course, is Coach Damon Floyd. Sir, how you doing?
Doing good. Doing good.
Well, let's get right to it. First of all, congratulations on another win last week there. Get you now 6-0 on the season, third straight region win of the season. So let's start there with the Bearden Bulldogs. Tell us a bit about your thoughts from last week.
Did a lot of good things, and then still making some mistakes that we probably shouldn't be making. You know, 6 games in, we're turning the ball over still way too much. I think we had 4 turnovers the other night, and it's just little things that are costing us. Really felt like there was a chance we could put the game away multiple times, and we kind of give them new life. So, we're happy to get the win, but obviously, from a coach's perspective, you're always looking at things you can improve on, and obviously turnovers are one of them.
What is the most important thing to you at this point in the season, that the Bears are 6-0 or 3-0 in the region?
3-0 in the region. Region's what's going to matter when the playoffs come. So, we have a chance. We put ourselves in position to have some home playoff games. So, still got take care of a lot of business, and but really we're not even focused on anything that's happened. We're focused on what's going to happen. Coming up next Friday or this Friday.
Yeah, that's one of the things that you hear a lot of coaches talk about. We don't look backwards. We don't look too far ahead. We just kind of stay within the game that's coming up this week. And talking about that, you guys face the Ooltewah Owls, which Ooltewah Owls not in your division anymore, your district anymore, I should say. And so it's a little bit different of a matchup than maybe it's been in some of the years past. I believe over the last 4 seasons, as I was doing a little bit of pre-work, you guys have won the last 3 out of 4 meetings against the Ooltewah Owls, if I'm correct on that. So we're going to get into that a little bit later in the show. We'll talk about what you think about their team this year. Of course, they got a new first-year head coach that kind of came in late to the game, so we'll dive into that a little bit later. You mentioned in the paper on Sunday in the Cleveland Daily Banner, you felt like it was, quote, an ugly win. Mm-hmm. You kind of touched on some of that about the turnovers and stuff there. From what I could tell, a couple fumbles, interception. What do you think that they did that maybe caused those, or was it just self-inflicted?
Well, we knew going into the game, Bearden, if you look at their record, you don't think they're that good of a team. And obviously, if you're not winning, you're not a great team. But they've played a really tough schedule. Them and Farragut basically have the same schedule. So I think those two are the 2 toughest in the state as far as who they've played. We were the 5th team that they played ranked top 5 in the state, whether it be 5A, 6A. So a lot of that you have to give Bearden credit. I mean, we know going into the game that we're going to make some mistakes. The other team's going to make some plays. So it's not, there is mistakes that we're making that are self-imposed, but the other team has a lot to do with that as well. So I just thought game situation-wise, punt return, we're getting the ball back, we have a fumble. Hands team, when they're kicking an onside, we've got to recover the ball. We let them recover there. Understanding game situation late in the game, I think we're up 3 scores. We're kind of playing prevent, and we let a pass go for about 60 yards to get them inside the 5. Those are the little things that, if you're going to go from good to great, then you got to take care of those things. And we didn't do those things Friday night. Yeah,
I think as we get into the schedule a little bit later in the show here today, the toughest part probably of your schedule is coming up with those. Maybe a couple of gotcha games could be in there as well as we look forward to the next 3 weeks after this Ooltewah game. Let's talk about some of the individual players from the game. Sophomore Jackson Wilson led all the players with 230 all-purpose yards, 220 of them on 36 carries. Sounds like he was another workhorse on another week for you there.
Yeah, he is. I mean, it's no secret. If you watch us play, who the other team's probably trying to stop. He's a very tough kid, and our plan every week is not to get him the ball that many times. We want to kind of get him some rest, and we can't give him the ball 30 times a game, but we got some other guys that have got to step up where they're not making little mistakes. And, right now that's the guy you got to put in his hands because we can trust him. And then it's not only Jackson, it's our offensive line and Carter Howard and Josh Helsden, who are our 2 tight ends that, that's the strength of our team. And, if we're going to win ball games, you've got to be able to run the football, and that's who we're going to lean on is our offensive line and tight ends and of course, Jackson. And then Aidan's able to use his feet now. So, our passing game's got to come along, but Jackson's going to be our workhorse, and we hope that he stays healthy.
Absolutely. Again, with 220 purpose yards, had a few catches in there too to get him the extra 10 yards there for the all-purpose. He found the end zone 3 times. So that's good scoring there on those touches there. So that's good stuff there. You mentioned Aidan Mcclary got his legs back. He was 13 of 18, had one interception on the night. Talk to us about your QB and what you think moving forward with Aidan.
Yeah, he's gotten better as the season progressed. Obviously, he had a very high ankle sprain it limited him probably for our first 5 games. I mean, there was 3 games where literally he just had to stand there and he couldn't move. So if we did throw a pass, it wasn't anything that was going to take a lot of time. It had to be quick. But we got him through there and he was able to play. And, like I mentioned before, offensive line and Jackson were able to carry us in those games. And then, but now he's healthy. There's no reason, no excuse. We got to open it up a little bit. We're still having issues. I know I'm talking about a lot of mistakes, but just in our passing game, one time it's one player running the wrong route. It may not be the right depth, or we're not completely catching the ball. And then the interception Aidan threw, it's really not his fault. We were taking a shot and trying to create a big play, and the guy intercepted it, but we got to become a defensive back at some point. If we don't catch it, just at least don't let them catch it. So, all interceptions are not always quarterback's fault, but I think Aidan's really going to have a good second half of the year. That's our plan. So.
QB, 13 of 18, that's pretty good in the high school numbers there. So he is coming along and able to throw the ball more, like you said, being a little bit more mobile as a quarterback there. You mentioned some of the receivers a while ago. Carter Howard caught every ball. He was targeted 4 catches for 25 yards. Marcus Gorey Jr. caught 3 for 35 yards and a touchdown and 81 yards on a kickoff return. Special teams so important, I know about that. And then Jalen Terry played well as the receiving crew as well, right?
Yeah, and Carter, he had a lot of big possession. There was a huge first down. He made a tough catch. He's up in there and gets hit and holds on to it, so that was a tough catch. But Carter did have 4 catches. Jay Allen had quite a few touches. We had to get him the ball in multiple ways, whether it running, throwing, and return game. But we want to be more explosive, so we're dependent on Jay Allen, Marcus Gorey, and Taylor Dugan to not only catch the ball, but we need to convert some of those catches and break some tackles and create them into touchdowns or bigger gains. And, right now we're catching it, but we're getting tackled. So we want to make sure that we're creating explosive plays from our wide receiver position. But those guys are doing a good job. They're learning. And, as the weeks go on here, hopefully we can open up a little bit more.
Let's talk about a little bit about being at home there last week, taking on the Bulldogs of Bearden. Second game on the turf, is that right?
Yes.
Now, from week 1 to week 2 on the turf, did you feel like your players and coaching staff maybe learned something different about being on that new playing surface?
You know what? It's not something we've talked about. Honestly, I don't know. A player would probably be better to ask on that subject, but we're just very happy to have it. And not only the games, the biggest thing for me as a coach is practice-wise. You get to go out there, the lines are down, you don't have to worry about it being wet and muddy. So I'm sure our kids like it. I hope they do, because it's a big investment. But it's obviously nice in between Fridays, and then once the ball kicks off on Friday, really you don't think about where you're playing and what you're playing on.
Yeah, a lot of your games in the past have been on turf anyway, so it wasn't something brand new. Of course, already this year you've been up to Walker Valley on that turf, and I know every turf field's a little bit different, just like a regular grass field is, but I know you guys are very proud of that, to show that off to the community over those past couple of games, and be able to play at home where Bear Nation comes out and definitely supports there like nobody else does.
Yeah.
So as we talked about the offense, defense, special teams a little bit there, as you look forward in the meetings this week with your coaches and getting some of the players kind of maybe a little bit of one-on-one conversation, what do you feel the biggest jump needs to be from that game looking forward to the Ooltewah Owls that you just kind of need to focus on? Yeah, and
it's the same thing we talk about every week, no matter who we're playing. But obviously, the first thing is the turnovers. We can't continue to give teams chances. You give a team 4 extra chances, that puts your defense in a bind. So we've got to hold on to the football, and 2 of those were special teams. So we always talk about turnovers. We talk about winning the field position battle, which I think we did the other night. If you're on special teams, you got to take great pride in it. And win the field position battle, and then defensively, you can't give up the big play. If people are going to score on you in this day and age, the way offenses are designed, people are going to have successful drives, and we play against good coaches and good players, so it's understandable. But we just can't give up the big play. And then the last one would be the silly penalties, which I don't think we've had too many of those. We've had some effort penalties, which we're going to have every Friday. But those 4 things right there, we feel like are pretty crucial in any ball game you play.
Again, we're talking with Coach Damon Floyd here on the Coach Damon Floyd Show, brought to you by Los Margaritas on 25th Street here in Cleveland. We appreciate their continued support. We're kind of recapping what happened last week with a 28-16 win over the Bearden Bulldogs there at Bear Stadium. I know people were there in attendance. We had it on the radio, a lot of hype about that. And like you mentioned earlier, a win's a win.
Yeah.
So we'll move on from there. Third straight win in the region, 6-0 in the season. We're going to take a break right here. When we come back, we're going to preview what we can expect from the Ooltewah Owls as they will be down at Ooltewah on Friday night. Of course, we'll have you covered for that on Mix 104.1, Talk 101.3 The Buzz on the radio, and of course on the Mix 104.1 app where you can listen to that game if you can't be there in person. We'll be back with more in just a moment for the Coach Damon Floyd Show, brought to you by Los Margaritas on 25th Street. All right, welcome back to the Coach Damon Floyd Show, brought to you by Los Margaritas on 25th Street here in Cleveland, as we get set for Friday night football. Kickoff set for 7:30 down in Ooltewah as your Bears will take on the Ooltewah Owls. Coach Damon Floyd with me once again. Coach, let's go ahead and dive right in and preview the Ooltewah Owls. Haven't had the best season. Of course, they're underneath their first-year coach, Coach Manning there. Tell us a bit about maybe what you know about Coach Manning right out of the gate.
I remember when he was a quarterback playing against them. You know, when he was there, they were very successful as a team, and I don't have any doubt that he's brought some excitement there, and he'll get that thing, back to where Ooltewah was when he was playing. He got thrown in really late. I think he got it in the summer, so. They probably started a little off behind everybody else when you go through spring practice and summer and that kind of thing. But I think the biggest thing with Ooltewah at this point, you really don't know who's in and who's out. And I think they had COVID issues at the beginning of the year. I've heard that they played some games without up to 16 starters at a time. So you turn on the film and quite honestly, you see a lot of different personnel. So you don't really know right. Who's supposed to be in there, who's not. So obviously that's probably attributed to some of their losses. But I think they're very explosive. They got some skill guys. They can run. I do think we have an advantage up front on the offense-defensive line. So if we're going to have success Friday night, just like any night, then it's got to start up front. But when we're defending them, it's scary when you turn on film because they got a couple guys that they can get it to real quick, and then they can go with take it to the house. So once again, we got to eliminate the big play and try to win the battle up front.
Let's talk about last week, revisit that for a few minutes. Any injury updates or anyone that maybe was nicked up from the Bearden game that we can talk about here? Yeah,
unfortunately, I think we're going to be without 5 starters on defense. But that's part of it. We don't make any excuses. The next guy goes in and he's got to perform. So hopefully we'll get some of those guys back next week. But at this point we're down 5. It's funny, every time we do an interview, we always record earlier in the week,
sure.
And it's usually a Tuesday. By the time Friday gets here, something else has happened. So at this point we're down 5 starters. Hopefully we're not down anymore by the time it kicks off Friday. But that's the way it is. And like I said, we're not going to make any excuses. Those other guys practice for a reason. That's why you got a depth chart. So it's time for them to step up.
As far as those positions you're talking about, is there one that kind of sticks out in your mind that you say this is the position I'm the most concerned about right now?
Well, it's actually been good and bad because you don't want anyone to get hurt. We've lost 4 of the 5 are in the secondary.
Okay.
We do have some good depth there, so we got guys that we can plug in that we feel like can play. That's the good part is you have depth, but on the flip side, you're playing an Ooltewah team where that's their strength. So we've got to try to defend that. But like I mentioned, injuries are part of the game, and we will not make excuses. It's time for Bradley to go down there and play against Ooltewah as a team, and we got a game plan in, and those guys are going to have to go execute.
I know you played there at Ooltewah High School multiple times in your coaching career. Out of the places that you go and play football on a Friday night, of course, home's always where you want to be. Ooltewah, what's the vibe that you get there? I mean, some places you go, you're just like, I just hate going to this place. It's tough, crowd, the field, whatever the circumstances may be. Is Ooltewah one of those places? I mean, I know it's in close proximity to Bradley. Kind of tell us about the feel and the team as you head down to Ooltewah.
Well, we've played them for so long, and, we're only 12 miles away.
Right.
So we're actually closer to them than we are Walker Valley.
Walker Valley,
and I think there is a little bit of a rivalry there. Our kids don't understand that, but I think if you ask Coach Manning, he would probably say the same thing. We've had a lot of battles with them, some really close battles, and we've played in the region a lot together. So historically, we've played a lot of close games. When you play there at Ooltewah, I think it's going to be a little different this week because we're on fall break. They're starting fall break Friday, so I don't know how big the crowd's going to be, just to be quite honest. But Ooltewah is always a tough place to play. Just because I don't know if it's the place that you're playing at or if it's the players that they've had through the years. So that's usually what makes it tougher than any atmosphere is the players you're playing against. But we expect it to be a battle Friday night, and if there's not people there because of fall break, then that really shouldn't affect us. We got to focus on the game.
Talking about fall break, that kind of leads me to the next question I was going to ask you. During a fall break week, of course, y'all played last Friday, going to play this Friday. Your week off was 2 weeks ago now for your bye week there. Of course, Cleveland and Walker Valley have the bye weeks coming up tomorrow. Tell me a little bit about how hard it is to keep the team focused on a week when they're in no school.
Yep.
I know schedules change. It's all about routine for football players, especially at the high school level.
Yep.
Kind of walk us through what this week's been like.
Well, I'll start, and we have this in the paper too, is there's always distractions every week in high school football. It doesn't matter if you're on fall break or not. You're dealing with high school kids, so there's always something that pops up. Yeah, every day, and it's always last-minute things. But the biggest thing is you're out of your routine. We practice early, or not early in the morning, but in the morning, and those guys like to sleep in, and sometimes they don't always have their transportation worked out, and you don't find out that stuff till the last minute. And so there's always little details and distractions that seem to pop up. But for the most part, our kids have shown up on time. They're ready to work. They understand. They understand what's at stake. Most coaches will schedule their open week on the fall break. I like to play. The reason is you're going to practice anyway, or we do, and so you're not going to be off, and then you also don't have to worry about school. You get to focus just on football, and so. It is what it is. Like I said, there's different distractions throughout the year. Fall break happens to be one of them, but we're not going to complain about being off from school and just practicing football and getting to go play a game Friday. So I think it's a good thing.
Good deal. Let's talk a little bit about the standings in the region and just kind of run through the list. And then you just give me just a quick snippet of what you think of these teams thus far. Of course, they're at the top. No surprise, Maryville in at 3-0 in the region, 7-0 overall. We'll start there. Just quick hit on what you think about that.
Same as they are every year. Execute really well, got really good players, coach very well, a lot of tradition and history, so they believe they're supposed to win. But hopefully we don't have to worry about them till week 10.
There you go. We'll worry about them on week 10, right? Of course, you guys come in the district second right now in the standings, 3-0 in the region, 6-0. So we'll just move past that. Cleveland comes into the region 1-2, 5-2 in the overall standings. You guys have already played Cleveland, so what's your feeling on that?
Happy to get the win. Obviously, I feel like they're very athletic. Coach Wheeler's got them heading in the right direction. They're playing really hard, physical. They got the pieces to make some runs, in the playoffs.
Yeah, good stuff. Farragut, which will be your opponent after we get through the Ooltewah week. Farragut comes in 1-2 in the region, 3-4 overall. Definitely not looking past the Ooltewah bunch, but Farragut is next on deck. They
always put good talent out on the field. They're obviously very well coached. They've had our number for a number of years. Last year we were finally get over the top in the first round win, so I'm sure they'll be anxious to play us.
Good stuff. Bearden comes in at 1-2. Of course, that's who you played last week and got the victory at. 2-5 overall.
Very tough, hard-nosed, physical team. I think the thing that probably keeps them where they're at right now record-wise is just their overall depth and the amount of playmakers as opposed to the top teams in our region.
And then last, Hardin Valley, they're 0-3 in the region. Unfortunately, hadn't won a game all season yet. I mean, that has to be tough.
Yeah, and it's very similar to what I said about Bearden. Bearden's a better team, but they lack that explosive playability, and they got a lot of guys that's playing both ways, and it's just hard to do on a 6A level.
Absolutely. Okay, that kind of breaks up the region. Cleveland, Maryville, Bearden, Farragut all have byes. Hardin Valley will be at Jefferson County. Of course, you guys will be at Ooltewah, and that takes care of the region for this week. Next 3 games for the Bears will be after this week. Will be at Farragut versus Ray County, tough place, and then at Maryville in that final week. So that's going to be some good stuff. All right, Coach, something that you probably don't normally do. I'm going to put you in what I call the coach's hot seat. I got about 5 or 6 questions I'm going to ask you, just quick fire. I just want you to give me the answer of the first thing that pops in your mind. None of these are going to be controversial, I don't think. And so we'll just kind of run down.
Everything's controversial.
Everything's controversial. It is 2021, right? All right, favorite pregame meal for Coach?
I don't eat before pregame, so I'm too nervous. I don't know.
Pack of crackers or anything? What goes in the stomach before a game?
I really don't eat. A bang. I drink a bang. There
a bang
you go.
Energy drink.
Sorry, that was not quick.
Well, that was good. I'd rather you be. I want honest. So because people want to know the coach. That's part of liking a team is you like the coach as well. So that is a go-to energy drink before a game.
Yeah.
Now, if you wasn't coaching football, what sport would you like to coach?
There's not one.
There's not one. So
just football.
No football, no other sport you would ever be interested in coaching.
Just football.
So there you go. Football through and through. Good stuff there. Now, this is one that I kind of hoping that you got an answer for. What opponent, player, it's a player I'm thinking about, present or anytime in your past coaching history, gave you continuous nightmares when you knew that you had to play against that as an opponent, a player on the field?
Oh, there's numerous. I don't have just one.
Top three.
Well, Destin Thomas was one of them this year. Maryville's got a number. Golly, Jacquez Smith, Ooltewah. Kid that's playing Ohio State now, running back from Blackman. I can't think of his name.
We're all drawing a blank there.
Master Teague.
Okay, Master Teague. Okay, good stuff. So those are ones in the past you would say, oh boy, I got to face this person. You got to strategize, maybe a little bit different when those top players are on the field.
Yes.
Thanks for playing along there. Favorite pro college team, any sport, doesn't have to be football. What is your favorite professional or college team you like to keep up with?
Oh, college, Chattanooga. Mocs.
Chattanooga, like the Mocs. All right, good stuff. I got 2 kids that graduated from UTC. All right, so Coach is getting ready for a Friday night football game, whether it's pregame on a Thursday, pregame on a Friday. Who's on that playlist? If you're listening to music, who's the artist on that playlist?
Oh, man. Right now, Tyler Childers.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Favorite song by that artist?
I don't have a favorite song,
one?
No.
All right. So, all right, here we go. Who is the biggest impact on you as a coach?
Oh, Steve Logsdon.
Okay.
Without a doubt. Yeah. Even though it was a different sport, he really taught me a lot about work ethic and the right things to do or how to do the things the right way, being organized, just everything that I believe what a coach should be to be successful. He was it.
You know, those are things, like I said, a lot of times when you're a fan of the game, like a lot of people are, of you and of the Bears, you want to know a little bit of inside. They want to know what's Coach Floyd, what ticks him, what gets him going. So we just want to ask a few questions there. Thanks for playing along.
All right, no problem.
All right, this has been the Coach Damon Floyd Show, brought to you by Los Margaritas on 25th Street. We appreciate their continued support. We get ready for the Bears going down to play Ooltewah. Kickoff set for 7:30 tonight on Talk 101.3 The Buzz and anywhere around the world on the Mix 104.1 app. Stay with us here as we'll get ready for kickoff.